Hey, 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 welcome to Trill Truth. This is Trill Truth giving you the Trill Truth here at the Trill Truth Network, TTN. Make sure you like the video, definitely subscribe, be on the lookout for the Patreon. We'd like to welcome you to viewing this new content. We're going to be doing a lot of reviews, talking about a lot of hot topics, but first and foremost, we want to acknowledge the topic of today's video and get straight to the point. We're going to be talking about ESPN and their rating system. We want to talk about their ranking, and we're going to look at the list of first the greatest of all time, the top 50 all-time list that they actually put out, where you can actually go in, check it out. I'm going to put a little link in this description so you'll be able to check it out. But I'm also going to profile some of the things that I had as a problem with this particular list. Now, first and foremost, I'm a fan of ESPN. No disrespect to ESPN as a company or their staff, but I highly have an issue with your ranking system as far as it goes. And I really have a question on your all-time list. First and foremost, we're looking at the ESPN NBA Top 50. And the top 5. We have Michael Jordan, LeBron James, number 2. Let's see, I'm going to pull this list up here. Now, this list was created on May 13th, 2020. All right, of this year. Now, we're gonna start with the top 5 because that's the hot topic. You know, we got number 1, Michael Jordan. Number 2, LeBron James. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 4, Bill Russell. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Now, we have no argument with Magic Johnson being in the top 5. Definitely the greatest point guard to ever live. 6'9" point guard, ran the Showtime Lakers, leader. Got his team to the finals all through the 80s. Even at the end of his career in 1990, led the Los Angeles Lakers against the Chicago Bulls in 1991. Right before, of course, he had his untimely first early retirement. Now, my issue is Bill Russell. And no disrespect to Bill Russell, but we're talking about all-time 50 greatest players. Now, the reason why, I don't have Bill Russell in my top 5 is because we're talking about as a player, who you were and what you brought to the table. Now, Bill Russell was known as being a great leader of a team. He accomplished tremendous things. He's a great historical figure. I have tremendous amount of respect for Bill Russell and what he has done, accomplished, and what he means to the overall game of basketball historically. But when we talk about players, he's known for being a defensive player, defensive rebounding player, and leader on winning teams. Now, when we look at the teams he was on, we're talking about all the Hall of Famers that let's just go, just looking at the list in and of itself. I can pull up the list, and when I look at this list, guys, let's just look at all the people that were on his team that made the top 50 all-time list for ESPN. We just don't just deal with the actual list that they've got here. The top 50 that Bill Russell actually played with. We're looking at Uh, let's see. Cousy made it. Havlicek made it. Let's see. You know, he had Red Auerbach as well. But just looking at the fact that he had 3 guys, Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, and then we're not even discussing Sam Jones and a lot of these other guys. I mean, the Boston Celtics were dominating a league of less than 20 teams, less than 10 teams. I mean, we, you know, one, they weren't playing against the best players in the world. You know, we're talking about a lot of his championships were prior to the ABA. We want to talk about his chief competition in Wilt Chamberlain. As a player, does anybody really, I mean, just take the chance, just take the time out to do your own personal research. Wilt Chamberlain was giving him crazy games. I'm talking about over 50 points, over 30 rebounds, 10 assists. I mean, video game numbers. Now, did they win? No. But Boston had the superior team. But just the fact that, I'm just saying, you know, like, let's put it in today's context, okay? So, Michael Jordan, who's the #1 player on the list, hands down, he took it to account as a defensive stopper. Now, granted, Bill Russell is looked at as that's what his chief thing was, defense. So if we talk about defense, let's look at the fact that Michael Jordan won Defensive Player of the Year 1988. 87 or 88, something like that. Okay? He was also MVP, also led the league in scoring. So his thing as a competitor was, I'm going to get my 30 and I'm going to stop you from doing what you normally do. So if you average 25, you getting 20 tonight. You ain't getting 25. And I'm going to get my 30. That was the foundation of what made Michael Jordan great as a competitor. Now, if I'm Bill Russell and I'm like, hey, we want to win the game, so I just let Wilt Chamberlain do whatever he wants. So if he averaged 50, if he scored 50, 60, 70, you know, I didn't care. I just wanted to win the game. That you know, to me, yeah, you want to win, okay. But why? I mean, to me, if Wilt Chamberlain is 90% of their offense, which he was back then, let's say 80% of the offense, if you hold him to 30 back then, chances are y'all gonna win by 30. So yeah, if they're moving the ball around or whatever, but god dang, I mean, I just can't see it, man. I just cannot put Bill Russell in my top 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James are my 3 greatest players of all time. No dispute. Magic Johnson, no dispute. Wilt Chamberlain, if you're going to have him at number 6, go ahead and move him in there with Bill. But there are intangibles here into question. But if we talking about as a player, Wilt Chamberlain, just look at what he did, man. Wilt Chamberlain could have played today. He was a tremendous athlete, freak athlete on a whole different level. I don't think people understand that this man was running marathons prior to his death in his 50s. You know, this guy, you know, lifted all types of crazy weights. This guy, you know, I mean, he's just track athlete everywhere. I mean, led the league in assists. Of course, we know about his scoring. They didn't even really keep the track of the block shots. I mean, rebounds was off the charts. So if we talking about rebounding, if we talking about just any, as a player, do you really, honestly, does anybody really put Bill Russell and say, oh, he was a better player than Wilt Chamberlain. I'm looking at here, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 30 points, 22.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists. Bill Russell, 15 points, 22.5, which is less, rebounds, 4.3 assists. So the assists are the same, pretty much. Of course, Wilt averaged double the points, more rebounds, more assists on worse teams. And we're saying that he's better. I got Wilt Chamberlain in his place. So let's see here. Now we're getting to my biggest problem. Larry Bird, number 7. How is Larry Bird over Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Hakeem Olajuwon as greatest players? Now, Larry Bird was a great player, and to be honest with you, I can actually remember being asked as a kid who my favorite player was. I would think I was like 5, 6 years old, and I actually used to tell everybody Larry Bird was my favorite player. And it was like, what, over Michael Jordan? I'm like, yeah, Larry Bird. When I was a kid. So, of course, I like Larry Bird, man. No disrespect to him at all. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.7 steals. He was the league MVP in 3 consecutive seasons, something only Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell had accomplished. I mean, Kobe didn't do that. Shaq didn't do that. He did it in the 80s, from 84 to 86. Michael Jordan was in the league as a young rookie at the time. He won championships. He had that great 86 team. Magic Johnson was in the league at that time. Kareem was in the league in that time. Won 3 championships, but I'm looking at Kobe. Kobe had 5. Kobe had 5 rings. Shaq had 4. And as great of a player as Larry Bird was, Larry Bird wasn't somebody that he was a great player, legendary. But he didn't dominate the game like Shaq. I mean, like there was nothing you could do with Shaq. Period. Nothing. But try to push him outside. Then how could you put him outside of, Shaq. We talking about Shaq. Nobody was stopping Shaq. Shaq on the 10 feet in. Your hope was he shot the hook shot. That funny looking hook, in comparison to, well, he had that power hook that he used to use. And I love Shaq. No disrespect to Shaq as well. He's a legend. One of my, favorite players. He makes my all-time team. And let me go ahead and say my all-time 12. Let me go ahead and do that. Get that out of the way. Point guard. I got Magic, Jordan, LeBron. My power forward is Hakeem Olajuwon, and my center is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Then I've got, coming off the bench, I've got Steph Curry at point. Now, when I talk about all-time team, we're not talking about my favorites. My favorites is a whole different. Chris Paul is my favorite point guard of all time. But he has not won a championship. He has not won an MVP. Steph Curry did all of that. So I have to give Steph Curry the proper respect and put him where he should be, which he changed the game with the three-point shooting in the range. Tremendous leader. Helped recruit KD into the team. And, 73-9, even though they lost, but greatest shooter of all time all around. Steph Curry. 2 guard, I'm going with Kobe. 3, I'm going with Bird. Oh, excuse me. No, I don't. I got KD. Kevin Durant. Now, y'all tell me something. Do you think Larry Bird was a better defender than Kevin Durant? No. If you got anything that you claim that you would say that Larry Bird did better than Kevin Durant, we would be talking about probably rebounding, facilitating, and 3-point shooting. That's what you would say when it comes to Larry Bird. But nobody's stopping Kevin Durant, period. Any era, at any time. Even if you put him in the 80s where guys could get up on you and do all of this. People forget Ralph Sampson was back there balling back then. And he was a stick at 7'1". Kevin Durant 6'9" with a handle that's like a point guard. And then he's got a 7'6" wingspan shooting from 3 off the dribble. Post up, fade away off of either shoulder. Quick first step. Catch and shoot from 3, pull up. Every aspect of scoring you can think. Floater, in between, mid-range, all of that. But he didn't get 3 straight MVPs. Larry Bird averaged 10 rebounds per game over his career. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Larry Bird there. But me personally, it's hard for me not to have KD in there. But I'm going to go Bird. So we got Steph, Kobe, Bird at the 3. My 4 would have to be Tim Duncan. And then my 5 would have to be, if we're talking all time, I'm going to go with, I guess I'll go, because Will Chamberlain wasn't a great free throw shooter either. Will Chamberlain wasn't a great free throw shooter either, but I like the fact that I can run with Will, because Will could run. And he was in tremendous shape. And I still got Shaq on my 12. And I still got KD on my 12. So we'll round it out with Wilt Chamberlain, Tim Duncan, Bird, Kobe, Steph, KD, and Shaq. All-time 12 for me. You know, if we talking my favorite, you know, that's a whole different conversation. I might do a separate video for my favorite team. But tonight we talking about ESPN's all-time 50. And I really, when I first initially looked at this, I couldn't believe that Larry Bird would be ranked over Kobe and Shaq. Because I felt like, it didn't, you know, as a player, I just felt like Dream was a better all-around player. I mean, and he slept on. Maybe it's because I'm H-Town and I might be, you know, there might be a little bit of H-Town bias. But there's a little bit of bigger snubs here. And the biggest snub I'd like to say that I noticed was Isaiah Thomas. I know when he saw this list, he had to be extremely mad. But one thing I have to say, too, is Oscar Robertson. We got Oscar Robertson ranked number 11. How is he over Hakeem Olajuwon? I think Oscar Robertson only had 1 championship. Dream had 2. He averaged a triple-double, which Russell Westbrook did 3 times. And then we got Russell Westbrook at 42 behind Kuzi. I got a problem with that. I would actually understand Steph being ranked higher than Oscar Robertson. I think Dream should be at least 11. At the very least 11. If you're not going to have him in the top 10, you got to put him at 11. Steph, they put him over KD. That's difficult to understand. He did change the game. He did recruit KD. KD probably doesn't win a championship without him because he hasn't yet and he didn't before him. But who's to say that he would have got those championships with KD without KD? I thought OKC would have beat them, to be honest, if they would have ran it back. But if Isaiah Thomas sees this list, I mean, my gosh, people just hate Isaiah Thomas. He must really be somebody that people, I mean, my goodness, man. They just hate Isaiah Thomas, man. My gosh. Zeke, man, poor Zeke, man. Look, I'm looking at this list, man. And right before him, they got John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, and the biggest thing that probably would piss him off, Scottie Pippen is 10 spots ahead of him. Hell, even Charles Barkley is over him. Man, who did? I mean, my gosh. I know he pissed off Jordan. I know Jordan don't like him, but man, dude, they love putting him down. I'm gonna keep it clean. There's a lot of things that I would like to say, but we don't want YouTube demonetizing my video. But my goodness. Zeke, that's nonsense, man. Okay, let's break it down. Now, John Stockton, when he retired, he was the all-time assist leader. Okay, great. Allen Iverson is an icon. I grew up under Allen Iverson during his era, in his prime, and his whole career. I'm a huge Allen Iverson fan. Anybody around my age in their 30s know. We all grew up loving Allen Iverson, adoring Allen Iverson, looking up to him, everything. And Steve Nash, you know, two-time MVP, great player. Here's the problem. Isaiah Thomas, 6'1", led a team of what could be described as misfits or outcasts to a certain degree, who played at a style that basically became outlawed by the NBA. They literally changed the game because they literally changed the rules because of this team that he was the leader of, which was the Bad Boy Pistons. But the bottom line is, during the 80s, this was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's league. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. This was the Celtics and Lakers. Both these guys were not just the heads, but they were the heads of two historically great franchises, the Lakers and the Celtics. And the Pistons were in the Midwest. He came out of Chicago, out of the hood in Chicago, out to Detroit, who was, when he first got there, they were losing. They sucked. He was a national champion at the University of Indiana under the legendary coach there, and had a tremendous college career coming into the NBA. They built that team in Detroit through the 80s. They overcame the Celtics and Larry Bird. They dominated the Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They beat the Lakers with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you're going to put Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the top 5, and you're going to put Larry Bird in the top 10, why would you have the guy who led the team that beat them in the 30s? And you gotta understand, this guy, he's playing in a league at that time that was dignified, and you know, it was a league of bigs. It was based on bigs, man. You know, The league through the 70s and 80s was inside out, meaning it was based on get the ball inside. Magic changed the game to where he made it more fast paced. Him and the Nuggets, but there was really the coach out of that he had. I think it was Paul Westhead. They played that fast paced style. Showtime Lakers changed the game with their style of play. Okay. But even then, they still incorporated Kareem and allowed him to do his thing, where he was still the great player that he was, which is why Magic Johnson is probably, looked at as the greatest point guard, because he's able to play this fast-paced style, but yet still incorporate the cap, still incorporating Kareem so that Kareem could still be Kareem, which is an unbelievable thing. And it takes a lot of great leadership and organization. And just, everything about how Magic did it was just legendary. And just, But Isaiah beat him. You get what I'm saying? And took over. You gotta understand, when they beat the Lakers in 89 to close out the 80s, they had already overcome the Celtics. They overcame the Celtics and got to the finals in 88. When they lost in 88, it was because Isaiah was hurt. But we talking about Isaiah coming off getting 30-something, 40-something off of one leg. You get what I'm saying? Limping all over the court, getting buckets, giving them that work. Giving Magic and them that work. People forget that the Lakers wasn't just letting them score. They had Cooper. They had Byron Scott. They had tough guys on the team like Rambis. It wasn't just letting Isaiah score. They wasn't trying to let him get buckets. For him to be out here getting buckets on them boys with one leg like that. So they lost in 88, but they had already overcome the Celtics at that point. So then they come back, they beat the Celtics, they beat the Bulls, and beat the Lakers. They closed out the 80s, man. Come on, man. Even now to this day, everybody talk about how soft the NBA is now. They comparing it to the 80s mostly. Because by the 90s, really they started to change the game because they wanted to have more offense. And they didn't like the fact that the Pistons was beating up on the superstar, the face of the league, and Michael Jordan. They didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that they walked off the court when the Bulls finally beat them. How they did. They didn't like that. But they forgot about the fact that when the Pistons got the Celtics did damn near, I mean, we're going to clean it up. Pretty much did the same thing. So, I'm not understanding here. The disrespect comes from Steve Nash was a two-time MVP. Never got to the NBA Finals. Never got to the NBA Finals. Allen Iverson was a one-time MVP, legendary icon, great player, historically legendary player. He made it to the finals once and only won one game when he got there. And if you look at Allen Iverson's career, I've already put significant respect on his name, but now we have to be objective. Isaiah was a better shooter than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson only prospered, only worked on teams where he was featured primarily. When he got older and he played on Denver, they didn't win when he was putting up those numbers. So those numbers were kind of, yeah, he was still putting up numbers with Carmelo and J.R. Smith and those guys with Denver. I remember that, yes. However, those numbers didn't translate to them even winning a series in the playoffs. They were talented and fun to watch, but they weren't elite. And they weren't considered championship contenders at the time. In contrast to as soon as Chauncey Billups gets there, they go to the Western Conference Finals. Same team pretty much. We have to, and I say this all the time, we have to look at the fact that Allen Iverson was the leader of the 2004 USA Olympic team. Him, Tim Duncan, Stephon Marbury. Those three guys, I don't care who else was on the roster. LeBron just got out of high school. Melo and D-Wade and LeBron didn't hardly even get in the game. They didn't get that PT like that. That team under Larry Brown was seen to be led by Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan. The reason why Tim Duncan pretty much gets the pass is because Tim Duncan was the post guy. And he's quiet. He doesn't really talk. Allen Iverson was the vocal leader. He was the face of the team. He was the main captain. Larry Brown was the head coach. Allen Iverson was the superstar leader and face of the team. Tim Duncan, yes, was on that team. However, come on, man. Allen Iverson, if people forget, Allen Iverson got caught up, and I think him, Amari Stoudemire, and LeBron James got benched for game. Prior to the Olympics or during the Olympics exhibitions or at the Olympics, something like that. But they got benched because Amari Stoudemire and LeBron James are my age. Them guys, you know, we all looked up to Allen Iverson. So if I'm playing on Allen Iverson's team, I want to hang out with Allen Iverson too. You ask LeBron James, they asked him who was his idol growing up. He said Allen Iverson. You know, I loved Michael Jordan, but I wanted to be Allen Iverson. And that's our generation. That's really what it was. He got them guys benched, and then they ended up getting blown out multiple times. We got to put that on Allen Iverson's resume, man. So you contrast that to the fact that Isaiah Thomas was left off the dream team, and now we're going to get to it, because of John Stockton. Now, Isaiah addressed it during and after The Last Dance. Michael Jordan addressed it during and after The Last Dance. Even they say, everybody knows, Magic knows. Everybody, I mean, come on, man. Like, who thought John Stockton was better than Isaiah Thomas? No one. Michael Jordan didn't. Nobody on the Dream Team thought Isaiah Thomas was not good enough to be on that team. And the guy who got his spot was John Stockton. So here we are, the same thing right now, 2020. They put this 50 greatest players out, and you're going to rank him in the 30s, and you're going to put Stockton ahead of him because he was an all-time assist leader, because him and Karl Malone played together forever, and they ran the pick and roll all day, every day, all the game. That was the offense. It was the pick and roll. That was plan A, plan B, and plan C was let's get something in transition off a steal, a rebound, or whatever. But everything was based off the pick and roll. I used to hate watching the Jazz. Man, I live in Houston. I come up from Houston. I was a Rockets, Clutch City fanatic as a kid. And we played Utah Jazz all the time. I hated the Utah Jazz. Now, it wasn't just because they beat us. from time to time, or you know, at the end, especially at the end of the after Clutch City, they beat us because, you know, they just played more cohesively as a team. But I hated just the whole predictability and style of play. I didn't like nothing about the Utah Jazz. I didn't like John Stockton, and it's the 90s and everybody wearing baggy shorts but John Stockton. He's still wearing the 80s shorts. He kept it true to the game. I'm saying this now, all the young kids is rocking the 80s shorts back. The 80s is back now, you know what I'm saying? Man, you couldn't pay us to wear them little short shorts, man, when we was in high school, man. You know, I do it. I can do it as long as I got my tights underneath, man. Shoot, I don't know, man. Props to him. I just feel more comfortable with something touching near my knees, man. You know, I got my tights on, I'm good. I can wear the short shorts with the tights. But I just don't feel comfortable with the thing hyping up like all up my thighs, man. You know, hey, man, it's just me. It's just me. Even now, I still don't be feeling comfortable watching these kids I'm like, man, how y'all hooping like this, crossing over the I'm like, man, look, more power to y'all. Hey, you know, props to the Fab Five and Jalen Rose, Chris Webber and the crew, Juwan Howard and them boys. Props to y'all. Thank y'all for the big baggy shorts. We like that. Michael Jordan, he kind of started it, but they took it to the level that I like. You know. But anyways, back to the subject. John Stockton. Okay, John Stockton, great legendary player. 6'1". If you put John Stockton on the Detroit Pistons, Bad Boy Pistons, are they better? Magic Johnson, even Michael Jordan, they said there's no way. I mean, I watched this man on one leg drop 48. Do I think John Stockton could have done that? No, that's not his game. Okay, we talking about better player. 2 championships. John Stockton, yeah, he made it to the finals and lost to Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas is the only player during that era, I believe, that has a winning record against Michael Jordan. Can you believe that? The #1 greatest player of all time. And Isaiah Thomas beat him more. He's got the only winning record against Michael Jordan. Interesting. So we're going to put Steve Nash, who never went to the finals, Allen Iverson, who had been proven without a shadow of a doubt. If you just look at the Philadelphia 76ers, and I grew up watching Allen Iverson. If you just look at how the 76ers, they basically started out his career. Okay, we're going to pair him with Jerry Stackhouse, Derek Coleman, Jimmy. Then they come in, they brought back, then they came back. They had Jerry Stackhouse, Derek Coleman, then they came in and got Jim Jackson. You see, so they're like, hey, we're going to put him with some talent. We're going to put him with some scores, you know, so we can get some help. So we have this dynamic team. But nah, it's not really working. So then they shipped Stack out. They shipped Jim Jackson out. They held on to Derek Coleman because, you know, Derek Coleman didn't necessarily need the ball. He was okay. But Derek wasn't really necessarily living up to his potential all the way. You know? Derek Coleman was a beast on the low. Extremely talented guy. One of the greatest talents of all time. But Allen Iverson became Allen Iverson when they basically watered down the team from scores to where, okay, look, he's the scorer. We're going to put him at the 2. He's not a point guard. We're going to put him at the 2, take him off the ball. We're going to have a distributing point guard that plays defense in Eric Snow. We're going to put defenders around him to help because he likes to gamble. I mean, that team was catered and built for him. The Detroit Pistons were built to win. You get what I'm saying? The Detroit Pistons were built to win. The 76ers were built for Allen Iverson to thrive. Totally different, man. Totally different. When you're a great player, you can learn to adjust to win. Michael Jordan had to adjust to win. Allen Iverson never was able to adjust. And the reason why you can say that because you can see when Allen Iverson got older, Allen Iverson was not out of the league because he couldn't play anymore. Allen Iverson was out of the league because he didn't play defense. Couldn't, at this point when he got older, due to the wear and tear on his body and not properly taking care of his body, he couldn't play D. He physically couldn't play D. So he went from not really playing D to not being able to play D. And then when he's not able to play D, then you're a scorer, which he was still able to do. But when you're a defensive liability and a volume shooter who is not really a distributor, we want you on the team, but we're going to have to put you and bring you off the bench. And Allen Iverson was like, oh, man, I'm not having it. I'm good. I'd rather retire than do that. So he couldn't really adjust. Michael Jordan went from all of the scoring, 38, 37 points a game, 35, 37 points a game, and doing all of this to where he had to learn the offense with the triangle to kind of bring it down to where he would then incorporate playing with his teammates more, and that would allow them to be more of a cohesive unit, which won championships. So I think Isaiah Thomas is one of the most disrespected players on this list. Scottie Pippen being ranked over him, I mean, my gosh, man. One, with Scottie, he was a complimentary player. Great player, but he was complimentary, man. We had Scottie Pippen on the Rockets right after Michael Jordan retired, after their second three-peat. And he was good, but it didn't last long. It didn't work. You couldn't give the ball to Scottie Pippen and he'd take over. You couldn't give the ball to Scottie Pippen and he'd do his thing. You could give the ball to Isaiah Thomas and he could make something happen. Isaiah Thomas was a leader, a dynamic leader that led a team to championships, multiple championships. Them guys that played with Isaiah, they may have fought him in the locker room, but they love him now. I mean, and then D Wade. Oh my gosh, look at this. How does Dirk Nowitzki get ranked higher than KG? I'm sorry. No, not having it. All right, Dirk won an MVP. KG won an MVP. Dirk won a championship. KG won a championship. Okay, so Dirk led the Mavericks to a championship with Jason Kidd, who's number 35 on this list. KG does not have Paul Pierce on this list. I don't see Paul Pierce or Ray Allen anywhere on this list. There's no way Dirk Nowitzki should be ranked over KG. I'm looking at Elgin Baylor. What did Elgin Baylor do to be ranked over D Wade? He never won a championship. When they did win a championship with him supposedly on the roster, he had already retired before they won it. Great player, man. D Wade. Let's talk about D Wade for a second. He won gold medals. He won 3 championships. He went back to back with a championship with LeBron and Chris Bosh. And he won a championship where he took over with Shaq. Now, I give him a lot of credit because they wouldn't have won that championship without him. He was that dude. He had like the greatest finals performance of all time. What did Elgin Baylor do to deserve to be ranked higher than this man? How is Charles Barkley ranked higher than this man? Was he a great player? Absolutely. He didn't even win a ring. He went to the finals once. When he came to the Rockets, he was out of shape. I don't want to hear no excuses. When he was with the Sixers, yeah, they sucked after Moses and everybody retired and left. So we can't put that all on Charles. When he got to the Phoenix Suns, yes, he was a great and tremendous player, but how long was that he was on the Suns? Not very long. They go to the finals, and then Hakeem Olajuwon and the Rockets, we beat them back-to-back years, of course. But D Wade went to 3 NBA finals. He went to multiple NBA finals. Yeah, they went to 4 finals with him, LeBron, and Chris Bosh. They won 2, which was back-to-back, and then they lost 2. No shame in losing to that Spurs team. But Charles Barkley made it to the finals 1 time. Got 1 MVP. Okay, so D Wade didn't get an MVP. So what? He got an MVP of the finals when he was winning the ring with Shaq. No way. Elgin Baylor should be ranked higher than him or Charles Barkley. And oh my gosh, David Robinson? Oh man, come on, man. No way. No way, no how. Shout out to Rob Parker. No way, no how. David Robinson. Great player, legendary player. Tremendous physical specimen. Much props, man. Hall of Famer, absolutely. Should be on this list, definitely. But come on, ranked higher than D Wade? Put some respect on this man's name, man. We gonna really give David Robinson credit for the MVP he won? Come on, man. Y'all stop. Man, he won that MVP. Hakeem Olajuwon put that man in a blender, man. Come on, man. He wasn't no MVP. He was not the best player in the league. Bruh, stop. It was disrespectful for them to even give him that. Everybody knew he wasn't on that level like that. He ain't had nothing for Dream. Come on, man. Dream gave him that work. Like, man, he put him in the N1 mixtape type work. Man, come on, man. And Shaq made we could just put a highlight tape of Shaq dunking on David Robinson. My gosh. He stayed getting dunked on by Shaq. And we gonna rank him over D Wade, man? Come on, man. The rest of this list, I can't really say I got too big of a deal. But one of the things I can say is I believe Russell Westbrook should be ranked a little bit higher. Outside of that, I can't really say I got a major problem with anything else on the list. What do you think? Like, share, comment at the bottom. We definitely appreciate your support. We're going to be coming out with a lot of content back to back, baby. We up and running. Be on the lookout for the Patreon link. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. We open. Thank you once again. And once again, this is the Trill Truth, coming from Trill Truth. Y'all have a good one. Once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.